how we do is our Mega. So your comic Crusaders, and we're at it again, of course. GeekFest special right here. We got another crew, an awesome crew. They did an awesome DC Comics based film, if you will. It's really funny. It's really fun. I mean, if you're a comic fan, you'll love it. Even if you're not, you will love it because you're going to find the amazing humor in it. But first off, before I introduce the amazing team behind that, let me introduce my fellow co-host today, my co-pilot, the one and only, the nemesis himself, Mr. David Howard. What's up?
What's going on? Looking forward to talking about this movie. It cracked me up. I love a lot of the concepts. I'm really looking forward to digging into kind of why they did this film. And I didn't plan it, but I got the right shirt on for the film. So let's go. Let's do this.
Yeah, man. I got my DC swagger too, apparently, inadvertently, but, perfect timing. All right. So first up, the one and only Kevin Good. If you're like a wrestler,
I get broken foot.
It feels like you are, right? So, hop along, Kevin Good. There we are, brother. How are you today?
I'm great. Thank you.
And then we have Mr. Bruce Wayne himself, I believe. Mr. Marr.
Hey, what's up? How you doing?
What's going on, my brother? And then we also have JP and Jen Nichols.
Hello, thank you for having us.
Great.
Yeah, I don't know. Thank you for coming on, yo. You guys did a kick-ass film that's currently on tour for GeekFest Year 8. So let me chat with Kevin first over here because I love origin stories. I want to get into people's fandoms. Like, make sure you guys ingrained or there's something that, you got into after the fact. So, Mr. Kevin.
You should get this over to JP and Jenny. I don't mean to be excessively humble, but this is their baby, and they should. I'm just gonna I'm gonna force you to answer the first question.
Yeah.
Then let me do this. Look at this.
Whoa.
All right. So the vision, the fandom. Where does it start from? How early on?
I've been reading comics since. I don't want to date myself, but I've been reading comics since I was really young. People say, Star Wars is kind of what got them into wanting to make movies and stuff, but comic books and Marvel Comics and DC Comics is what got me into wanting to do storytelling, and that's just been seminal for me all my life.
Yeah, same for me. I mean, he started reading comics earlier than I did, but I got into my first superheroes were, Superman, Batman, in the DC world, and then started to move in the Marvel world when like the X-Men comics came out in the early 90s. Storm was my everything, and like she really got me even more into the fandom. As the Marvel world moved on, there might be other characters in this movie that I absolutely adore. So
yeah, the first comic I ever read that got me really hooked was the Infinity Gauntlet. So where we are within the Marvel world, and even though this is a DC movie, and I love all things, my heart really is in a lot of ways in Marvel. And so to me, growing up with those comics and seeing what Marvel is doing now, it just makes me so happy. We're first in line at Grauman's at the IMAX every Thursday whenever there's a Marvel movie premiering with the hot crowds, the best crowds in town. And I've reached a point in my career where I write for television, but I really want to write for Marvel. And we've been saying for years we want to make our own stuff. So we're like, why not make the type of stuff that we want to be doing professionally, where we want people to hire us? So that was a big inspiration for the film. And even though this is a DC movie, there's a lot of touches of Marvel in it as well.
Touches. I could see this as a whole kind of sketch comedy show. This would be amazing for you to do stuff like this. Blending all comics and bringing the communities together, because I think that's what you did here, with the other way.
I think that was kind of the goal, yeah, without giving too much away, yeah.
Now, without giving, like I said, we don't want to give away the film. It's a great film. I enjoyed it very much. But I'm curious, what was your inspiration for kind of the twist, and I don't want to give that away, but also your take on Batman, and the title, The Other Wayne, because that is something unique that I've never seen before. So where did that inspiration come from for you?
And just for clarity, I wrote and directed, and Jenny costume designed, but Jenny's also my creative and produced, and Jenny's my creative partner. So, everything runs through her before we go to do it. But it actually started with the twist. I was riffing with a fellow writer, and we said, wouldn't it be funny if Bruce Wayne had a brother who's like, I miss mom and dad too, but you really need to get some help. You're handling this the wrong way. And my buddy, who we thanked in the credits, the great writer Mark Franklin Williams, came up with that twist at the end. And it was funny. I had it in the back of my head, and we've been looking for a project to do. But when I sat down to write it, it actually worked kind of in reverse. When it's just a gag at the end, then it's just a skit. But when I sat down to really write it and get into the writing 101 of it, I was like, well, actually, no, if they're brothers, they've both lost mom and dad. They're both sad. All of a sudden, this is a story about grief. And if you handle it with a little bit of emotional honesty, and I think when we talk to Mar, we can talk about how we worked with being really true to the emotion of I've lost my mom and dad, and I'm sad and I'm angry, and what am I going to do about it? Really, this is a story about two brothers with different opinions on how to deal with their grief. And one of those brothers happens to be Batman, happens to be Bruce Wayne. And in our world, in our not comics world, is handling it the wrong way. We just accept that Bruce Wayne handles it the right way because we love to read Batman.
Now, from a costume design standpoint, one of the very interesting things here is I don't think I'm giving too much away here when I say we see the evolution of the Batsuit. Obviously, you designed that. I thought that was really clever in that you had it so that the suit could be, jerry-rigged and turned into the Batsuit. How difficult was that come up with that concept? How did that work? I thought that was pretty cool. So
let's just say working with my husband was the most detailed and intricate I have ever been with a director before, and it was also the longest development. My dear husband is not the greatest at visualizing things.
Not at all, which is really what you want from a director.
And so it took a very long time to develop because he couldn't imagine some of the things happening, so I kind of had to really walk him through it, and he had to walk me through his intentions for some of the gags, and so it was the most collaborative process in that way as well that I've had. And it really was, we had to go through each and every little bit and say, okay, well, if it's this item that we're using, how can we transform it to this and make it believable too? We don't want it to be just some slick cutaway, even though it is. We still want the audience to be able to follow along and believe what's actually happening. So, we did actually rip a pair of pants that, were the same pants as what Mara was wearing, to then use another pair of the pants that transitioned it into the cape. And so, I took a pair of the pants and made it into the cape. And, it's just
And the book bag straps.
Yeah, the book bag straps. I rigged that up so that it came off at the moment and it transformed into the belt in that moment. So everything that you saw was practical too. So it's just a lot of movie magic. The bat symbol towards the end, the big gold thing, is actually a belt buckle that I transformed to first be the neck. And then it actually does click into the batsuit armor.
Wow, that's great. I thought that was really ingenious. I enjoyed that, and I have to say to everybody out there that's watching this, if you like hammer pants,
figuring out the right pants and the right volume and everything.
I was like, go bigger, go bigger.
And I was like, oh my God, are you serious? This is ridiculous.
I feel bad for the actor because was he old enough to understand hammer pants?
Are you, Mark?
Oh gosh, I don't think there's a right way to answer this. I think
Did you know what hammer pants were?
Did you Google it when you saw the script?
I don't think I did.
And there must be food. Next thing you know.
You can't touch this. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, okay.
You know, folks, you know, we're talking about this amazing movie. Guess what? Let me give you a sneak peek right now of the greatness that we're talking about. Hold tight.
This will strike fear into the hearts of criminals.
Bruce, we talked about this. This isn't healthy.
I have to take back the city. Someone has to stop the criminals.
Mom and Dad would have wanted us to go on with our lives.
They'd want us to prevent this tragedy from happening to anyone else.
I don't have any parents left to lose.
But you have a brother.
And I'm not gonna help him kill himself!
I love it. It's such a tease, that trailer. Such a tease. You guys. I love it.
Costumes. Yes, that ski mask at the beginning I could actually also not get on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a malfunction that worked.
Yeah.
So, real quick, I just have to ask the question for Mark. How many throat lozenges did you go through after doing the Batman voice? So.
Oh gosh, you know, I really should have taken care of my voice. That's a great point. Yeah, I really had to I think just to brave through it. I think no lozenges needed, and guess that's a calling if I've ever heard one. Yeah.
Did it help that you were allergic to the cats at that place we were shooting? Nobody knew there were going to be cats that day.
That's so funny. Yeah, so Batman's allergic to cats. And there were
That's kryptonite. I gotta see this on a comic book. Superman throws cats at Batman, and that's like, oh no.
I see a problem in a future relationship if Batman is allergic to cats. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh,
yeah.
Let me not use that other word for kitties.
And we shot in this this amazing mansion that was in Altadena or Pasadena, I think, somewhere around there.
La
Cañada.
Yeah.
And
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just gonna say there were many cats in there. There were many cats in the building. Yeah.
And we found out afterwards it also might be haunted.
All right.
What?
They did not tell us that. That was not in the Pierce Space come shoot here thing. Was it Jen? Was it you that ended up Googling the house afterwards and found?
No, it was Kim who did our production design. She had shot there before and told us that she's like, this place is haunted.
Yeah, if you Google this,
wow.
which I'm not actually sure what the name of it is, but in La Cañada, there's this big BuzzFeed article. These people that spent the night and did a photo shoot, and they're trying to track down the ghosts in the place.
Well, now I'm curious because I live in Riverside, so now I need to know. So.
You know, what's the ghost clown? So that would be perfect for the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
all right, so go ahead.
Go ahead, Al. Go for it.
No, yeah, Kevin, Mark, movie process. You guys had a good time. Is the process where you guys fan yourselves, if you will, of Batman or DC? You know what I mean? Just want to know where your fandoms come from. Either or.
I think I was that guy that JP was referring to previously that got into movies because Star Wars was cool.
Okay.
And then in comic book world, I was never into any I read Gru the Wanderer. I had about 3 billion of those comics when I was a kid. That's very lampoony. Sergio Aragonés. I don't know how you say his name. I was obsessed. I was obsessed with that comic, and I'm still upset that isn't the one that's become a major Hollywood franchise at this point. I want us to be on, Gru the Wanderer Infinity Wars right now, because that would be incredible. I would be crying the whole time in the theater. But I don't know. I had worked with, I guess I hadn't worked with JP before this, but Jenny had helped me out on a big project of mine, and so I was just eager to work more with them, and I don't know, like I think we did a pretty good job of making it look pretty cool, right? Like obviously the goal, I think the stated goal, as you all know, even though we've never discussed it, is for this to be the first fan film where the studio calls us and tells us, okay, this is now officially part of the canon, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean that's what
undeniable.
That's what we're aiming for. So I think we did an admirable job. And
You did a great job.
You know,
It's a really fun film that I found totally humorous. There was a lot of points there just between the brotherly banter, because I am an older brother of two younger brothers. So that banter you guys had going on, was historical. That's how we communicate. We're very assholey to each other, even though we love one another.
I will also say that if this film can lead to a DC Marvel crossover, hey, all hail to you guys. It's like all the money to you. So
I love it.
Check this out. So somebody says they enjoyed the light side. The dynamic was Frasier meets Kick-Ass and Switch to Dark. Very clever.
It's my boss.
Thank you.
I was going to say, fun fact, both JP and I are only children, so we don't really have a lot of the
sibling
things, so it's a great compliment.
Although I do have a couple things that I've written about brothers a lot, so it is an idea that fascinates me, even though I don't have a brother.
Yeah,
that's interesting. You guys did the dynamic. Great job, because again, as a big brother, I would be that asshole to my mother. What the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? So I love it. You guys captured that really well.
Thank you. And credit where it's due. I mean, that's Mar and Will Block who plays the other Lane of the brothers. It's just words on a page, but you get these two great actors in the room and get them going. They're fantastic and collaborative and open to direction. And I've said this before, you have an idea in your head, and a lot of times when you're directing, you're just trying to cast the people that are going to match. You're shopping for something very particular, and you just want somebody that can do it. And then you get people like Mar and Will who can not only do it, but bring things you didn't expect that were even better to the table.
Yeah, when we originally held auditions, Will and Mar did not audition together. They were separate, and we had callbacks just so we could have them together, because we were like, I really think this and this will work, but let's get them together and see what the chemistry was. And it was just beyond our wildest dreams. Yeah,
and we come from theater, so we did kind of very non-traditional, and maybe you can talk about this, Mar, maybe this is traditional, but for film, we really worked with you guys and gave you direction and had you do it a few times. You can call me a liar if you want, Mar, but that's how I remember.
No, this is very true. And I mean, I also absolutely come from a theater background too. And I think that's such a, I don't know, I think it's a really important part of the process, and just to be able to have that dialogue and understand the background of the character and just to respond to your direction. I think that was really helpful. So you're not a liar. This is all true. Yes.
So,
go ahead.
I was gonna say, I have this question for all of you, but I'm gonna start with the actors first, if I could. Your headspace getting into these characters, specifically for Kevin, you're very much this rational, grounded character who knows where he's going. And did you know what, did you play that with the twist at the end versus Mar? Your character looks like you've got crazy eyes and you're about, 2 feet away from just going over the edge and just unloading on everybody. How did you get into that headspace? It's like, how did you guys prepare for those roles? Whoever wants to go first, go for it. And then I do have a question for JP after that, based on, how those characters are written, but I wanted to hear how you guys did that.
I think Kevin should go first.
All right, I know all us white guys look the same, but I'll just I was behind the camera the whole time. I'm the cinematographer.
I'm so sorry.
You're totally fine. I'm very flattered that you think I could be that much of a chameleon.
Yeah. Oh.
If my acting talent was anywhere near that good, I would have. So I think Mara can definitely handle that one.
I apologize.
You are totally fine.
I was looking at you and I was like, he doesn't look exactly the same, but that's pretty amazing costuming and everything. So
very impressive.
I kind of wish you just rolled with it, Kevin, and done a deep character dive.
I just love all those white glasses.
I definitely stole the show from you, Mar.
No, I was let's say, yeah, Kevin,
the transformation was
right. Well, to answer your question a little bit, Dave, I think, JP touched on it a little bit earlier when he was talking about how, like, at the end of the day, this is a story of grief, and that's that. I think I remember having that conversation with JP, and that being really helpful because it makes everything feel so human and in a grounded way, really accessible. Even if, you're stepping into this very, larger than life person or role, So I would say, you asked that question and off the bat, I think that was probably the most, formative conversation, most helpful conversation going into it. Yeah.
So you really looked at it from a mental health grief perspective. That was really what the driving force for your acting there, and then kind of got in character from there. Is that fair to say?
I think so. Yeah, I think and I really like that. I really like that kind of this idea of thinking about the mental health of this character and kind of like coming it from like the grief perspective, that sort of, I think, is like a great place to begin, because I think we can all kind of I think we can all access grief, or a moment where we've been we're in that headspace. And from there, thinking then okay, I've seen Batman, the man who will become Batman. What is he like? What are the things in this moment that could in this film that kind of could indicate how he will grow and become that man as well. And then considering the background from there. Yeah, absolutely.
So if I could ask a follow-up question then to JP, in your head as a fan, as a writer, and as a director of the film, would you see Batman or Bruce Wayne becoming the Batman we know and love, or does he? And I guess that's kind of an afterthought to one of the things I thought when I saw this film. I was like, there's going to be a part of Batman fandom that will not like this just because Batman really hate it. And it's interesting. I'm such a continuity nut. I keep referencing the Marvel stuff. I love the Marvel stuff. I love being able to watch 22 movies together and tell a single story. I get frustrated by the DC stuff, which any one of those movies might be fantastic, but don't always feel like they're cohesive in the same world. And they just say, we want to do the multiverse. And that's fine. That's fine storytelling. But I like things that reward fans for repeated viewing. So, yeah, some people are definitely going to hate this. But at the end of the day, because, maybe Mar and Will, maybe we should have cast 12-year-old actors, because how old was Batman was Bruce Wayne when Mom and Dad died? He was young and everything. And then I was like, you know what? If Christopher Nolan can have Christian Bale travel the world and just dress him a little bit younger, we can cast just our fantastic actors, and Martin will kind of have this baby face that's nebulous anyways. And God bless you, keep the baby faces as long as so there's going to be people that hate it, and people are going to hate the twist, and not to talk too much about the twist and who the other Wayne is, but at the end of the day, if you look back at the origin stories of these characters, they're both two characters that are grieving and dealing with it in different ways. One character wants revenge, which is a very human thing. The other character, once it's revealed, is someone who just wants it to prevent it from happening from other people. One person's working from a place of grief and rage and anger, that's Bruce Wayne, and the other character is working from a place of empathy and wanting to keep this. And I feel like
without giving away too much who the other Wayne is, it was also about being true to who that character is as well. But we really looked at it at the end as once you see that final shot with the bat signal and the reflection is, it's kind of Bruce Wayne is dead and there's only Batman. You know, there's been a lot of talk of, you know, who is Batman? Is he Batman and Bruce Wayne is the costume that he wears to get through the day to make his money? And that's kind of where we went with this. He's cast aside his brother. He's cast all his connections to sort of humanity away so that he can just become this engine of revenge, which I think is a valid take on Batman, and people are welcome to disagree, and we can have a cool conversation about it. You know, back in early Detective Comics, Batman had a gun, so there's not always a one true way to do it.
I think that's awesome that you said that you know that some people won't like it, but you have your vision and you follow through with it, and I think that's really incredible. And I like the fact that you're like, hey, if you don't like it, let's discuss it. We need more of that in fandom. You know, this just you get on my soapbox for a minute, but
so that's something I want people to know where they could watch this film before we proceed. I want people to know where they could watch this film, for, you know, this amazing film, which is through the GeekFest Film Fest, Year 8 festival. So check this out real quick, folks.
I'm ready to go beat something up after seeing that. I'm ready to go out.
You know,
we'll fight.
I mean, that's some pit music. You want to start throwing elbows. If you want to start throwing elbows, make sure you throw your elbows towards GeekFestLA.com and check out all the amazing films that are currently on deck, which includes, of course, the other Wayne Wepa. We got Bruce himself here and his producers behind the scene that finance Mr. Bruce over here. We got the man behind the camera involved in production, Mr. Kevin Good. That he does a great job producing. Apparently, he broke his foot, you know, in many battles creating the film. So
I'm still not convinced he wasn't the other way. I really think he's he's trolling me.
We can't give enough credit to Kevin. Kevin's been very, very humble. But Kevin is really amazing at what he does. And Kevin is a director in his own right. And he and his wife are a power couple that Jen and I aspire to be like. They are role models for us. So he did us a big favor by coming in and shooting this movie for us.
Gracing us with his brilliance.
With his brilliance. And also coloring the movie as well. And, you know, we talk about the emotional core of this. This is a story about grief and everything. But then at the end, and, you know, wanted to collaborate with Mar and Will. And then at the end of the day, we had to be like, here's your blocking. This is not up for debate. We're in a super small room. Like smaller than this window that we're in here is how small that room was. And a lot of, in addition to the costumes and the talent of Will and Mar, is the prep that Kevin put in and how we were going to shoot this in this teeny tiny but awesome room.
Well, it's interesting you say that because I did want to ask Kevin. Now that I know what Kevin's role was, you know, I should have prepared better. You know, with filming in the mansion and everything, I was going to ask how big was the room, especially it was probably fairly small. How did you set up the lighting? Because one of the first things I noticed was the lighting was very good. In that room, it was lit very well and it was shot well. And if you're in that tight of confines, you know, we have a friend who is very technical into filmmaking. But if you could give us a little bit of insight of how you set that up and what you did, that would be wonderful. It'd be really incredible.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, I think one of the fun things about doing like short films and smaller projects is we get to like experiment with different stuff. So one of the things that I hadn't been doing yet that I really wanted to do was like, and it sounds crazy to do it for a little movie that's a short film that's a dialogue with mostly two people in a room talking. But when we went to Location Scout, I took enough pictures of the place that I could do a photo model of it, basically feed it into the computer. So I had a 3D model of it, and then go into the Unreal game engine and use that to block out what the angles would be. And then I could sit down with JP and say, hey, I was thinking we do this here, and then the guys could be standing like this, and then we kind of had everything like mapped out ahead of time. It was very tight. The room is actually tiny. I'm like on a super, super wide lens the whole time to make it look big. The mansion was big, but that one little study room was nothing. It was just space for a desk and some books. So it's interesting because like sometimes like you talk about like the lighting, like sometimes what DPs don't tell you, directors of photography, I think is like sometimes like your decisions are made for you. It's just sort of like by attrition. It's like, well, we sort of have to put the camera here because it's the only space in the room where we have space for the camera. So we have to be pointing that way. And so the guys sort of have to be facing us there, and we're not allowed to mount anything on the walls because it's a historic mansion and they don't want us screwing anything up. And so I guess the light has to go there, you know, and then obviously there's some more finesse in that, and you're like, you're massaging all those things into submission. But a lot of times, like, it's just like a process of elimination, problem solving to kind of figure out where it's at. And we knew that, you know, in this, Bruce Wayne is standing in front of a mirror and he has the light that he's using. And so it's like, okay, so that light is kind of gonna drive this room and what the things look like. And then everything else is just kind of trying to supplement that, match that. Basically, so much of it is dictated by things out of our control, you know?
And if I'm remembering right, you have two separate shot angles. You have the one that's looking at Bruce, then you have the one that's looking at the other Wayne. I'm envisioning that you were basically in a corner there with the camera shooting that.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically like in a corner the whole time. I'm glad it doesn't look that small, but that's, yeah.
We did pretty much rotate 360 degrees around that room.
Yeah.
Because there was two doorways that we shot in, and then we had to move the desk out to shoot in that other corner so that we could get the coverage on Will when he was facing Mar.
I always find this stuff fascinating. Thank you for sharing that, because I'm an amateur. Obviously, I don't make movies, but I'm interested in it. So it's always nice to hear that kind of stuff in the perspective. It's really cool. So thank you for sharing that. So.
And it's a miracle. I mean, it's not a miracle because Kevin's a professional, and the camera crew were all professionals. But when you look how small that room was, and the arm that you brought in through that side door, just so we could do a couple of those pullbacks and the jib down to get that our last shot.
Outstanding. Thank you. Cool.
What type of cameras we use for the film? Because, you know, my boy like that Ademus has mentioned is definitely is the filmmaker on film. So what type of equipment do you guys use to film your project?
We used a Sony FS7 with the Sigma Cine lenses. So it's not a particularly fancy camera, but it's not a cheap camera. You know, it's like a nice, you know. But I'm strongly of the opinion, and you won't hear a lot of cinematographers say this, but I'm strongly of the opinion that your camera doesn't matter that much. Okay. I have to like laugh saying that. I know I'm like on the internet.
All right.
People are
hey, Kevin Good at.
Yeah, I'm at Kevin Be Good on Twitter. You can come complain to me. Your camera doesn't matter, man. What you put in front of it is what matters. You know.
And also, you colored the movie too. I mean, you say it's not a fancy camera, but at the end of the day, we made a movie that looks very slick, and that's how you got it.
I think you need like a competent camera, and then there's like a lot of times people just spend like arguing over. It's like if your camera is like good enough, it's like you're fine. Move on and talk about the costumes and the set and the production design and the block. You just spend all of your effort talking about other things, because it gets into so like diminishing returns there very quickly, I guess is what I'm saying. So it's not that the camera doesn't matter, it's that like people give it way too much. Way too much.
This is our buddy right here. Well,
say what?
I do want to say, I don't want to start a whole flame war, but if people want to come on me at social media, go for it. But I was impressed with the lighting and the color. And if a certain someone who had a cut come out a few weeks ago could do some color like this, it would be much better. So, and I'm just leaving it at that.
You talk about my favorite thing about the coloring, or
I think so. Yeah, I was going to make sure.
Well, this is me queuing up a question for Jen and Kevin. So again, because Jen is my collaborative partner, creative partner in all things, I was staffed on a TV show, so I couldn't be there for the coloring. And Jenny and Kevin colored without me and would just send me things to like. And I was like, oh my God, did you do this on purpose, or it just happened that when you watch the movie, color-wise, it starts as a cold, bleak DC movie. The lights flick on. Tonally, the script changes and the performance changes. You're in a Marvel movie color-wise, performance-wise, and script-wise. And then at the end, the lights click back off, and you're back to the cold, heartless DC world. And I was like, I wish I could take credit for that.
I wish I could take credit for that, too.
So then it's all Jenny. But I remember saying to Jenny, you did this, and you're like, yeah, of course.
Well, it turned out really well, and I have to say that the interior of the room looked like it was in Wayne Manor, and it was richly appointed and everything, and I loved it. I loved the color there, and if anybody wants to check out about my review of the certain cut, one of my critiques was color, so I'd like to I pay attention to that a lot, and I appreciated that. So great work, Jenny. Thank you. So
Kevin, somebody does show you some love, because they go so true the legends of filmmaking. Go take a primitive camera and set and create a classic.
Bravo,
so
bravo.
Somebody's with you. I'm Team Kevin Good. Is that the good opinion? Only time will tell. It sounds like a wrestling.
And that's Jenna. She was our production manager on the film.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah. The other half of the power couple of Kevin and Jenna that we aspire to be.
Yeah. We aspire to be you guys. So it's just like it's creating like a vortex of yeah.
So what else can we expect from you guys, man? Are we gonna get more of the comic goodness? You're touring for year 8 on GeekFest, right? I mean, is there any other place touring as well? Are we gonna expect more goodies? More fandom?
In terms of where the movie's showing, once the festival runs over, we're obviously going to throw it up on YouTube, but we're hoping to get into a few more places. We're at the Portland Comedy Festival. In June, we're at Atomicacon in Charlottesville, North Carolina, which I believe are both live screenings. And we're hoping to submit to a few more festivals once the world opens back up and it's safe to travel. So it might be a little bit of time. But if you follow us on Instagram, and mostly Instagram, we'll make our announcements as to when it's up for free or what festival in case it's in your area. And again, GeekFest is great because they're doing something every month, and we don't get a kickback from this, but I just think it's really cool. That is like $5, and you have the pass for the year, and every month they're showing a rotation of films. I actually don't think the other one is in the rotation. But
yeah, and I know for the next screening that you guys have at the beginning of May, one of the other films in that block, we've actually been making the festival rounds with them, Blaster in the Right Hand.
Mm-hmm.
I just finished talking to them a little bit ago.
Yeah, we love them, and it's been kind of fun to do all the different festival Q&As with them and stuff too. Yeah. And we also have Origins. We've done a lot with them, and Living in Crime Alley.
Yeah.
So
and then
that was with them for the GeekFest for year 8 was Crime Alley. That's funny. Wow.
We've done it through 5 now. 5 different festivals with Living in Crime Alley.
Yeah.
So it's like a fun the 2 different Batman fan films.
Yeah, there's a hunger for the bat, and there's nothing wrong with that. And then, as I said, we want to do stuff together, so a lot of our stuff is geeky and where we want our professional careers to be going. I'm working on a feature right now. I sent Kevin the first page. And I was like, Kevin, can we do this? I don't even know if you remember because that was like 2 months ago.
I remember.
Well, I do have to say, with the twist at the end, I was curious if I will ever get to see part 2 and see where that went. So,
a lot of people
just throw that out there.
but there's part, and maybe when I'm brushing my teeth tonight, lightning's going to strike with a great idea. But for me, it was like that is that story, and that is what it is, and that's the commentary. It is a commentary on those two characters, and it's an exploration of grief. We were racking our brains that day of like, is there a Marvel-style stinger we can do at the end? And one, we ran out of time, and two, we just didn't think of anything that was good enough. So that is what it is, and we have, Jen's writing a short film that we want to do. I just finished a new short that we're going to hit up Kevin about, and we're working on a feature.
And my short film that I'm working on goes to another fandom, which is the Harry Potter world.
All
right. I'm not going to give anything away of what happens in it, but I think given J.K. Rowling's recent poop, it's a good little slap in our face. So,
yes, we hope we'll get the season, which was the best advertising for it ever.
I hope I can piss her off.
We gotta find out here because one of my good friends, James Gasby, holds. He basically hosts a show called Who Would Win, right? And he basically pits two characters from pop culture versus one another. You said Harry Potter. Well, guess what? This week, apparently, Harry Potter has been pitted against the one and only Luke Skywalker.
Oh.
Who would win?
Well, what Luke from which movie?
I've seen this fight on Raka Raka already.
Are we talking Farm Boy Luke, or are we talking Last Jedi Luke?
So that's a good question. They didn't say which version, but the way he looked, he already has a black little outfit on, and he ready to kick butt apparently. In a fight, who do you think got this? And let's talk about maybe a semi-trained Jedi Knight versus a semi-trained Harry Potter.
So we're year 4 Harry Potter, maybe Empire Strikes Back Luke? Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Let's do it. Yeah. Look at him setting it up. Trying to make it hard for everybody.
They're salivating over there. I'm staying quiet because if I get into this podcast is going to go for an hour.
I kind of want to see this fan film now.
Yeah. Wands versus lightsabers.
Yeah.
But I mean, as much as I love
we got people already saying
because without his wand, Harry isn't.
Harry, unless Harry was talking to Luke, and Harry's good at talking people down and talking about love and acceptance and things, and so maybe
the Flash
by getting Luke to stop fighting.
That is part of it. Is why are they fighting?
Okay.
What are they fighting about?
There's a breadth of.
More context, yeah.
I got it. Harry Potter hit on his girl, and now he's feeling a type of way. They're in the club, they had a couple of drinks. You know what I'm saying? And Harry Potter was a Luke girl, and Luke was like, yo, son, why are you talking to my lady?
I've got the scenario for you. Adult Harry Potter versus full-on Jedi Luke. Harry's an Auror, and he thinks that Luke, all dressed in black with the green lightsaber, because green is Voldemort's color, he thinks that Luke is an evil wizard.
Okay, I think you're going to get the drop on Luke, but at the end of the day, Luke's got the Force, so he doesn't need a wand to channel his magic through.
He's got the Force and a lightsaber. Double-edged sword there in a way.
I think Luke has this. I see Kevin. I see Kevin disagreeing.
I just think
he's
there's
over
a breadth
there
of
on
powers.
his cheeks,
It's like a breadth of powers on the other sides, right? Luke swings a lightsaber and chucks some things around. But I think we can all agree that in conclusion, Gru the Wanderer would win the fight. Right?
He come out of nowhere and pop both their heads off.
That's so funny.
Meanwhile, Mars over there going, I just took up a part now. Said, I just got hired to do a part. Now I'm in the middle of all this insanity.
Well, one thing I was gonna add was one of the big comic books I read when I was a kid was Bone. Have you guys read Bone?
Oh yeah.
And
Bone's
I was
great.
like, yeah, oh gosh, I don't even know if Bone would last in a match with all those other guys.
Drew versus Bone even now. Come on, at least. Something.
Yeah,
I think Gru has that one.
yeah, for sure.
Phone Bone? Is that the one
that you
that
guys-
smokes cigars all the time? Which one is the one with all the money? I can't remember. I don't know. He'd buy like every Dark Wizard and Sith, and he'd win by default. So the one with all the money. So.
But I just want to say much respect to Kevin and Mark, because y'all are like fans of the most random comic characters that most people don't even mention. So it's like, yo, you got me. You guys are fucking geeks. Yes, all right.
You got your
I love.
Wow.
Yeah, you love the most random Bone and Gru. I mean, I love Gru. Did you read, Kevin, the Gru and Conan team up that they did for Dark Horse like a couple of years ago?
No, I didn't.
Gru and Conan, bro. Come on.
Well, I mean, Gru would crush it, obviously. There's no contest. I mean, yeah.
It's fun. I love that you guys love that. All right, so great. So, folks, you met them. These guys are awesome. They produced one hell of a movie. I'm telling you right now, that's what you got to follow. All right, I've been sharing this. All right, just make sure, jot it down, show them the love, give them the support, and make sure that when it's their turn during the Geek Festival for year 8, vote, because there are some awesome films, and these dudes have produced an amazing film that I found hella funny. Especially the twist of the end. That my wife just looked at me like, "What are you laughing at?" This is in my headphones. She's thinking I'm not just laughing about myself in the corner of the room somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What the hell are you like chuckling so much for? I'm like, nah, you wouldn't get it. You wouldn't get it. You're not a nerd. I gotta share this with somebody.
So. Maybe she would.
I will say,
she's a CW fan. I know she's a CW fan. She knows those Berlanti emo stuff. So she likes Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man at most. She doesn't like the newer stuff. I've been trying to make her watch Endgame. Ain't happening. I try to make her watch Zack Snyder's Justice League. She's like, it's a 4-hour movie. Hell no. And then I countered that with, well, you watched Titanic 3 hours and you knew how it was going to end. Guess what? It didn't work.
So what does this say? My wife is the first in line for every Deadpool movie. So.
Well, she's not in line for Deadpool, my brother. Let me disappoint you there, okay?
Yeah, I know.
Well, I mean, it's so amazing that when we first moved to California, she was like, Comic-Con's happening soon in San Diego. Do you want to go?
Whoa! Did you guys go in 2019? How long have you guys been there?
We've been going since 2008.
Yeah, that's when we moved to Los Angeles.
Cool.
Yeah. Wow. I went 2019. That was my first time, and obviously my last time.
Oh, well, I mean, you don't go to Comic-Con for the panels. You go to People Watch and transform the town.
That's what I told my people. Like you guys shut down downtown for a couple of blocks, and that shit's a block party like Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
I mean, cosplay everywhere. The bars, the clubs, all cosplay and fun. I mean, you could get trashed and have a good time and nobody's bothering you. I effing loved it.
That's the point of Comic-Con. You almost don't even need a badge to go. I mean, there's great stuff in the hall to walk around and see, but how they transform the town, people, just to sit and watch. Going down and having no agenda is the best way to do Comic-Con.
No, you're absolutely right.
I don't know if they're going to reopen, but
hey guys, I have to run, but thank you so much. This was such a blast. Nice to meet you. I'll see you later.
Mark's gonna go fight crime right now. Thank you so much, Mark, for joining us. You fucking rock as Bruce Wayne, and I'll see you again, bro.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Mark's like, I'm out with this nerd shit.
I just want to throw a shout out real quick. I have never had a badge, never gotten into Comic-Con, lived here my whole life, but I don't know if they're going to reopen, but if they do, go down there, go to the Gas Lamp District, go to the strip club, Greatest Steak. It's not a strip club, it's a restaurant, and hang out in the outdoor patio, have a drink, have a great steak, and watch all the people. Outstanding. So
Oh
And
my
then-
God. Wait a minute. You want me to go eat food at a strip club?
No, it's called the strip club because they serve New York strip. But yeah, everybody, when you say I'm going to the strip club, you're like, I told my wife, it's like, hey, my brother and I are going to the strip club. She's like, excuse me? So, but it's like,
the wife was getting handcuffed.
In the evening, the bar on the upper floors of the Hyatt, as well as the bars at the San Diego Bayfront Hilton, are where a lot of professionals will hang out.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
If you want to
Very
stop
cool.
people.
Yeah, and the Marriott.
Yeah.
Very
I
cool.
was on the strip. I went to some corner club where Impact Theory had a party, which was really fun. We had a blast. And there were some other parties that we just walked into. It's because we had a badge. They just let us in. I was like, okay.
Best free things to do at Comic-Con every year before you're heading down.
Oh my God. And I saw the coolest Chitara and Lionel cosplays. That was the first time. And they were like body paint, not even, costume. It was body paint.
I saw
Chitara
that.
and Lionel off the hook.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you're going first time, take the trolley. Don't try to park downtown. So take the
That's a
trolley.
lie. Nemesis. Me and Cleb found the same parking 3 days in a row for free for the whole con every day. Don't ask me how. And you know what's funny? I openly admit.
It'll never happen again.
Yeah.
Yeah, listen. I openly admit I'm a weed smoker. So the whole time I was looking for weed, right? I never realized that where we were parking in front of was a goddamn dispensary. Until the last day, I happened to look my head up instead of rushing for a change. I said, get the F out of here. And the last day, I find it.
Kevin, what's your favorite Comic-Con memory?
I've only you were saying you don't go to Comic-Con for the panels. The only time I've ever been to Comic-Con was New York Comic-Con to be a panelist.
Oh, yeah? What year?
Yeah, that was the only time we were in New York, yeah.
It was like
What year was that?
10, 12 years ago. It was a while ago. I had this pilot. It was the New York Television Festival, and I thought I was the hot new thing, and then I wasn't. But I was like a panelist on Comic-Con once about like producing TV.
But so your wife still thinks you're the hot new thing.
Mm-hmm.
I hope so. I'm trying.
I've said this. Kevin and Jenna, they are hot shit. They make their living shooting commercials. They're a writing, producing, directing team. They're really, really amazing. And they do their own projects when they're not working. And you should Google them and watch their stuff wherever you can find it because it's pretty amazing.
I find that to be so great when a couple could share a creative journey together like that. I find that so amazing. Like you guys have this, algorithm, if you will, to create and do it together as a team. I think that's such a beautiful, beautiful thing. So God bless y'all on that, yo. For real, that's amazing.
I think it's wonderful that you guys all work together too. I say this to all of our fans, to all the people that we interview. All the success of the world to you and everything you do because your success breeds success for somebody else, and it helps, and we all lift each other. So, all the best to you in everything you do. I firmly believe that.
They're creating content. They're creating content to keep us entertained. So these people are doing also a service. So thank you for your service, if you will, and keeping us entertained and keeping us sane by creating some fun stuff. You just take us, outside of the real world madness sometimes. And this movie, I think, actually does that. You get dived into the DC universe for a minute in a very humorous way after the twist. And it's like, okay, I love it. I can't wait to see more from you guys. And again, GeekFest Yr is where you guys could check it out, going on now. So, again, thank you guys. And JP, Jen, you guys rock. Them, anything else you want to add to them?
No, I was just going to say, definitely check it out. You got Chameleon Wayne brothers. You've got Bruce Wayne, who looks like he's 15 years old. I mean, you got it all going on. So, yeah, check it out. It's fun.
Excellent. Thank you again, guys. You guys rock, yo. So, again, let me share, before we go, let me share it one more time. Look at all these goodies right here for the other Wayne Insta, at Nickel Productions, all right? Show the love everywhere for me, Nickel, Jennifer, for everything, everywhere. Kevin Good, everyone, yo, all right? Producers, everyone. So the love.
Yeah, and shout out to our producer, Ashleigh Nichols. Different spelling, but similar sounding last name. Also, Ashleigh and her husband, Ed, are a creative team as well. So Eddie, unfortunately, couldn't work on the film. Surrounded by a lot of couples that work together.
Power couples?
Yeah, a lot of power couples. So.
That's crazy.
Power couple on the Wayne Show. I love it.
I try and get my wife to read my books, and she's like, I can't read this. This is the kind of stuff I like.
Yeah, no, we're very lucky with it. You know, when I said we're first in line at Grauman's for every Marvel movie, I mean we are first in line. So we're very lucky that I'm very lucky. You could do better. I'm very lucky.
Look at folks. Look at the romance and the love on display on screen.
I know. Where's the heart blossoms? Come on.
No,
Where are the heart blossoms coming up?
And everything right now. What's going on here, bro? You know, Kevin's looking around like, "Where's my lady at?" Going on. So again, Kevin, JP, Jen, thank you so much. Everybody, please make sure to be on the lookout for this awesome film, The Other Way. It's so much fun, and hopefully they get to produce a lot more and even bigger and greater things. I look forward to you guys doing more. You guys are so creative. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. And with that, Nem, you want to shout out anything before we go?
Yeah, look for my stuff, dwhoward.com, and check out ASAP Comics, where I'm writing level 8 for them and some other stuff. That's all I got. So,
Wepa, you know how we do. Check out comiccrusaders.com, undercovercapes.com for the best in podcasts and vidcasts. You know the business. Omega, Wepa, para que tú sepas. Hasta la próxima, mi gente. Much love.
Salud.
Thank you. We hope you've enjoyed this Comic Crusaders production. For real-time news on all things pop culture, please feel free to follow us on social media. For articles, original content, merchandise, and more, please go to www.comiccrusaders.com. Also follow along with all of the websites of the Comic Crusaders family. As always, if you like this content, please click like and subscribe to the Comic Crusaders YouTube channel.